Good morning, all. So myself, I'm Rana Rajan, Senior Manager, Greenworld International Education Department. So today, the webinar section is handled by Ms. Sankita and Ms. Kogila, and they are the direct university representatives of Canada and Australia. So let me invite our management team. I'm welcoming our beloved chairman, Dr. Vinod Kumar sir, DLIT, DMS, MPA, USA. He is a certified career counselor, and also he is having more than 15 years of experience in banking sector. He is an ex-military also. So I'm inviting our management team, Miss Jasmine Joseph, Senior Manager, Greenworld International. She is having more than 8 years experience in career counseling. Now I'm inviting Miss Jitu and Miss Delta, managers of documentation department, Greenworld International. Now I'm inviting Miss Srilashmi, documentation manager of Greenworld International. Also I am inviting Miss Anjali and Ajishma, assistant career counselors. So moving to our webinar sections, it's my pleasure to invite Miss Sankita to hand over these sections. Sankita ma'am, please.
Hey, hi everyone. Am I audible now? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So it's a pleasure and honor to be here at this time. Okay, we are going to speak about Canada, and probably like if you want to get your doubts cleared in Australia, UK, US, Ireland, you can just ask your questions. I'm not going to use any PPT. Let's have this session as an interactive one so that we don't sleep off. Okay. Hey, hi. Thank you. So let's start with Canada. Canada as such is a very PR friendly country, and it has been welcoming PR for quite a long time now. When you look into the map of Canada, it is like 4 times the size of Indian map, and when you look into the population, it is 1/4 of the Indian population. So the scope of people migrating to Canada is very, very huge. Now, when we look into the safety aspects, Canada is again very safe. You don't find a lot of racial stuffs happening in Canada, so it's a very safe place to study. The universities, colleges, and the polytechnics that you find in Canada are also very international student friendly. The courses that they offer are very, in terms of fees, they are very, very easy to pay. And in terms of flexibility, they have modules designed in a way that student can take a break in between and then come and join this session if they're getting good, like employment opportunities in between. So overall, Canada is a wonderful place to study for international students, especially from India, Kerala very specifically, we find lots of students going to Canada. The main reason, again, it is the quality of education, the PR possibility, immigration possibility, and also the standard of education. Okay, so let's start with what is the education system of Canada. Like we have in India, the students study from class 1 to class 12. Post class 12, the students have 2 options. Either they go to colleges or they go to university. Now, unlike India, where you find every college affiliated with one or the other university, in Canada, you will not find any colleges affiliated to universities. So colleges are independent degree awarding entities, and universities are also independent degree awarding entities. They are not affiliated. So in India, for example, if I pass out from a particular college, I will be getting a degree certificate which mentions that Sangeeta has passed out from Calicut University or Kerala University. But when it comes to Canada, if a student pass out from, say, Conestoga College, they will get a degree where it says that this person has passed out from Conestoga College. There is no affiliation as such. Now, what is the difference between a university and a college? Let's discuss that. In between, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, feel free to question. So when it comes to colleges are places where diplomas and PG diplomas are taught. So after class 12, the student has the option to go to college and study either a 1-year diploma or a 2-year diploma or a 3-year advanced diploma. Or if your student is like they've completed bachelor's, they have an option to study either 1-year PG diploma or a 2-year PG diploma. So colleges are basically places where diplomas are taught. When it comes to universities, after class 12, the student has the option to study bachelor's, and someone who has completed bachelor's has the option to study master's. So universities are places basically where bachelor's, master's, and PhDs are taught. Now, let's see, this is the traditional way of process. Okay, it's a traditional process, but currently Ontario government has given approval to colleges to have bachelor's degrees in their place. So you will find Fanshawe College, St. Clair College, Conestoga College, and few other colleges in the coming future who will come up with bachelor's degree. So bachelor's degree is no more restricted only to universities these days. Is there any question in this? Any doubts? So since you're silent, I assume that there are no questions. So let's move forward. Now, so I said like after class 12, the student has the option to go for diplomas and bachelors. Now, what is a diploma and what is a bachelor's? Let's discuss that. Diplomas are courses which are very, very career specific. Okay. And these are courses which they pull out one aspect of a bachelor's degree and study that in depth. So for example, if I say that a student wants to study mechanical engineering, they have the option to either go for a BTech mechanical engineering in a university, or they can pull out one aspect of mechanical engineering. For example, let's say manufacturing management. Pull out manufacturing management, study just manufacturing management for the next 2 years. That becomes a diploma in manufacturing management. Is this clear? So let's see another example. If someone wants to study commerce, they have an option to go for a bachelor's in commerce, or else they can take out one aspect of commerce, let's say finance. Okay, they can go for a UG diploma in finance. They can go for UG diploma in financial technologies as well, something which integrates IT into finance. So these are the differences. When it comes to job market, what is the speciality of taking a UG diploma is the chances of getting placed when it comes to a diploma students are high. Suppose if I'm hiring someone for manufacturing role, I have a BTech graduate, BTech mechanical graduate, and a graduate who has completed a diploma in mechanical engineering. As an employer, I would always prefer to take the diploma guy rather than the bachelor's guy. So the employability chances are very high when it comes to diplomas compared to degrees. Any questions on this? No? Clear? Great. So this is basically about universities, colleges, bachelors, and diplomas. Now let's see what are the entry requirements for diplomas, entry requirements for bachelors and masters. Yes, Rizwana, your question, please.
What will be the duration of the diploma courses?
Yes, diplomas, as I mentioned, UG level, you will have 1-year diploma, 2-year diploma, 3-year advanced diploma. When it comes to PG, there will be 1-year PG diploma. They don't call it a diploma, they call it PG certificate. So the duration would be 1 year. Else they can go for a PG diploma, which is a 2-year duration. There is no 3-year PG diplomas. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's see the entry criteria of diplomas as well as bachelors. Now, basically for UG diploma, the student should ideally have a GPA of 50%. So this varies from college to college. There might be colleges which accept a 50%. There might be colleges which accept only a 60 or a 70%. So college to college, it keeps differing, but basically speaking, 50% is more than enough for a UG diploma. And when it comes to the gap, basically any Ontario college generally would take only a gap of 2 years. But exceptions are still there. There are lots of colleges which take a gap of more than 2 years, even for a UG diploma. I'll just list out few of the colleges. You can make a note of it. Conestoga College will take unlimited gaps. Okay. St. Clair College, again, unlimited gap. There are few universities as well. You can make note of Yorkville University, Algoma University, College of North Atlantic, New Brunswick Community College, Saskatchewan Polytechnic, and then Northwest. Okay, these are few of the colleges. I'm not going to list out the whole of colleges because it will take like a huge lot of time. So these are few of the colleges and universities which accept unlimited gaps when it comes to UG level. Okay, any questions on this? Clear? Done. Now the second entry requirement for a UG diploma or for any course rather in Canada would be the IELTS scores. There are few colleges which accept a 6 with overall 6. But again, there are few other colleges which accept an overall 6 with one band 5.5. So colleges which accept one band 5.5 for UG diplomas are Conestoga, Fanshawe, St. Clair, College of North Atlantic. They all require an overall 6 with one band 5.5 is accepted. Okay. And then we have Loyalist. We have Saskatchewan Polytechnic again, Yorkville University, Algoma University, NBCC, New Brunswick Community College, Manitoba Institute of Trade and Technology. So these are few to name. So these colleges and universities will accept a 5.5 in your UG level diplomas. Okay, this applies for your bachelor's as well. If your student wants to go for a bachelor's degree in these listed colleges and universities, gaps and one band 5.5 is accepted. Any questions in this? Clear?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you please come back to the one more time? I just didn't get it.
What do you want me to come back to? You want the whole list or you want the
No. I just want to come back from entry of diploma. This gap justification is 2 years of UG,
we didn't
right?
speak about gap justification yet. We were just speaking about the number of years in terms of gaps. Normally for a UG diploma, the gap accepted is 2 years. Okay. Most of the Ontario colleges in the sense, any colleges in Ontario normally accept a 2-year gap. For example, Fanshawe College will not go for more than 2-year gap. Georgian College, George Brown College, few programs, they will not accept anything more than 2 year. Again, we have Loyalist, few of the programs, Niagara College, few of the programs, they will not accept anything more than 2 years. But there are few other colleges which accept more than 2 years of gap. The list was discussed a while back. I'll repeat for you again. It is Conestoga, Algoma, Yorkville, Saskatchewan Polytechnic, Northwest, New Brunswick Community College, College of North Atlantic. Am I going very fast? Are you familiar with the name?
Yeah, my name is Huda, ma'am. I'm a new staff.
No. I'm asking if you're familiar with the college names.
Yeah. Some of them.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So these are few of the colleges and universities where maximum gaps are accepted.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, is this clear? Any other questions? Any other questions? Done. I assume there are no questions. So these are about gaps, and we also discussed about the IELTS scorecards. Now, when it comes to gap justification, as Naurin was speaking, gap justification is required only when your student has more than 2 years of gap and only in certain programs. Okay, certain programs, the college will ask for gap justification. So in those cases, you will be asked to submit a resume, okay, updated resume. Some colleges will also ask for your offer letters and payslips. Okay, that might not be very mandatory, at least for the UG level, but when it comes to PG level, your payslips, your updated resumes, and your offer letter would be mandatory. Clear? Okay, so this is about the gap. This we have also spoke about the GPA requirement. We also spoke about the IELTS requirement. Now let's move on to PG diplomas. PG diplomas generally would require, PG diplomas and masters generally would require a 6.5 with 6 in each band. Okay, but again, exceptions still do exist. You have St. Clair College and Canada College, where an overall 6 with one band 5.5 is also accepted. Okay, we have Algoma University, where an overall 6 and each band 6 is also accepted for PG diplomas. Clear? Any questions? Algoma will not accept 5.5 for PG. It is 6 with overall 6. St. Clair and Canadore will accept a 6 with one band 5.5. Rest, most of the colleges will need a 6.5 with 6 in each band. Okay. So this is basically about the IELTS requirement when it comes to a PG diploma and a master's degree. Now, basically speaking, Canadian education system has 4-year bachelor's. Okay, so generally any master's program would require a 4-year bachelor's, but when it comes to India, most of the programs are 3-year bachelor's. Like when you look into the BA, BCom, BSc degrees, these are all like 3-year bachelor's degree. So a student from India who has got a 3-year bachelor's degree might not qualify for a master's degree directly, mostly. But there are again few exceptions in these cases. We can just note down these universities. University Canada West is one such university where a 3-year bachelor's is accepted for direct masters. Okay, Trinity Western University is again another one which accept a 3-year bachelor's. Thompson River University also accept a 3-year bachelor's. Is this clear? So these are 3 universities: University Canada West, Trinity Western University, Thompson River University. These are the universities which accept a 3-year bachelor's for your master's degree. The rest of all master's degree will generally require a 4-year bachelor's degree to qualify for master's. Okay, so when your student says that they want to study in some other university or a college and they want to go for a master's degree with a 3-year bachelor's, you will have to make them aware that a direct master's will not be possible, but they can go for a PG diploma, and then once they reach Canada, they have the progression to move on to a master's at the later stage, but not directly. Okay, so if someone has a BSc botany in their background, they can go for a PG diploma in environment sciences, complete the PG diploma, and then later on they can move for a master's degree in Canada. Is this clear? Any questions?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, 3 years master direct entry is which to the 2 university which you named it. I didn't get it, ma'am.
Trinity Western University, Thompson River University, and University Canada West.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're most welcome. Any questions? Is this clear? Okay. Again, when it comes to a PG diploma or a master's degree, the student always has an option to go along with solid work experiences. Okay. So if someone has gaps, if your students are mature students, Canada will accept maximum up to like 15 to 20 years of gap for PG diplomas as well. But you can never come back to us saying that my student has a 20-year gap or a 15-year gap, but he or she has been doing nothing, has been thinking about starting a career, but finally they couldn't actually do anything and now wants to do a PG diploma, go to Canada. No, you can't take those sort of profiles. But if your student has solid work experience working as, who started working as, say, someone into sales and then moving into team lead, moving into managerial roles, yes, definitely these sort of gaps are possible. So again, there might be nurses who has like 11 to 15 years of work experience, and then they can directly go for PG diploma or masters in Canada. So gap is not something which has to be avoided altogether. Gap is something which has to be justified with work experience. If you have considerable work experience, then you're good to go with your gaps. Okay, your visas will not be a problem. Now, this third part that we need to discuss here is about selecting a course. So the normal progression is after class 12, the student either goes for a diploma or for bachelor's. But certain cases, the student might not want to go for a diploma, but they would be skeptical about going for a bachelor's as well. So in those cases, you can always give them associate degrees. Associate degrees are like, again, 2-year degree programs, which will be somewhere equivalent when it comes to the point things. It will be somewhat equivalent to a bachelor's degree, but not bachelor's. The duration would be 2 years. So associate degrees are also an option. Okay, is this clear? Any questions in terms of associate degrees? Fine. So after class 12, the student goes for associate degree or a bachelor's program or a diploma program. Now, if someone has completed their bachelor's, they have the option to go for PG diploma or for master's. But there might be cases where your student has scored, say, 40-45% in their bachelor's degree. So these students might not qualify for a PG diploma. So in those cases, what you can ideally do is, based on class 12 scores, you can give them a UG diploma. Okay, UG diploma will not create any issue with your visas. The reason being, visa officers will look into how far you have repeated the subjects and not into direct subjects. For example, if I have studied BCom in my bachelor's and I scored around like 40-45%, but I have like 60% in my class 12. Based on my class 12 scores, I can go for something into, not into commerce, because for commerce I couldn't score well. That means I'm not good in commerce. So I can go for something into business. I can go for something into marketing. If my my language skills are good, I can go for something into professional communication, or maybe I can go for something into supply chain management, into travel, tourism, hospitality, SSW in the sense social work programs, healthcare programs, medical coding programs, and stuffs like that. Okay, but I will not be able to repeat commerce because I couldn't do well in commerce in my home country. Similarly, if I have completed my BCom degree in India and I have like 2 to 3 years of work experience into hotel management, I can either directly go for if I have like more than 5 to 10 years of experience into hotel management, I can go for a direct PG diploma into hotel management. If my experience is like 1 to 2 years and I feel like commerce is not something for me, then I can go for a UG diploma into hospitality or hotel management. Clear in this? Any questions? So I assume there are no questions. So this is basically about program selection. We have discussed about diplomas and degrees as well. Now let's look into the visa possibilities. When we look into visa possibilities, the most important document that a student has to submit to convince a visa officer is the SOP. Now, SOP is a document where you don't brag about what you have already got, but you very clearly and precisely tell them what your future goals are, why you chose that particular country, that particular course, that particular college or the university. Is this clear? Once your SOP is done, you can go for your visas. With Canada, there are two types of visas. One is the SDS and the non-SDS visa. So what is SDS? SDS is something where if your student has an overall 6 with each band 6, then your student is qualified for SDS visa. SDS, the process timeline is somewhere around 11 to 15 weeks these days. Okay, pre-pandemic times it used to be 25 working days, but right now it is 11 to 15 weeks. So with 11 to 15 weeks, your visas will be the decision for your visas would come through and your visa is done. You will need to pay 1 year tuition fee, living expenses of 10,000 Canadian dollars, and then normal your academic documents, SOP, your medicals. Okay, so these are basic documents required for your SDS visa. When it comes to non-SDS visa, it is not necessary to pay first year tuition fee, but it is always recommended. Even if you pay your first semester fee, that is more than enough. GIC again is not mandatory, but highly recommended, 10,000 CAD again. Now, with regards to the processing time, it takes somewhere between 4 to 6 months these days. It used to be 45 days pre-pandemic times. Now it is 4 to 6 months when it comes to non-SDS visas. There is a myth normally in the market that non-SDS visas go for a refusal. It is not the case. If your documents are clear, if your financial documents and your academic documents are clear, along with a well-justified SOP, your visas will not be a problem when it comes to non-SDS visas. Okay, again, we missed out one of the important topic. It is about backlogs. The list of universities which I shared with you when it comes to like the gaps, you can use the same list. So those colleges and universities will also accept unlimited backlogs. Even if your student has like 90, 100 backlogs, that is still accepted. Okay, but you cannot have your student come back to us telling that I have 50 backlogs, but I want to study in University of Manitoba. Each university has their own entry criteria, but with whatever profile we have in hand, we always have a good option in Canada. This is clear? Any questions? All clear? Good to go?
I think, ma'am, we will have a Q&A section later.
Now let's see the processing timelines. Okay, generally speaking, Canadian colleges will take around like 3 to 4 weeks of time to process their offers. But there are few colleges, for example, George Brown College, which might take 10 to 12 weeks to process their offer letters. Universities generally will take longer time for offer processing. For example, University of Saskatchewan, University of Regina, these are few universities which take around like 4 to 6 months for their offers to come through. They don't have like multiple intakes. They have only September intake. So if a student wants to study in University of Saskatchewan, ideally they should have submitted the application right now, got it processed. Okay, so they don't have much of a huge intake to show off. So just one intake, they take 4 to 6 months. Okay. But there are few universities like Cape Breton University, Mount Allison University, Algoma University, where the offer letters will come through within 1 to 2 weeks of time. Okay, there are again few colleges like Yorkville University, St. Clair College, Loyalist College, Northern College. These are few places where your offer letters would come through very fast, like less than 10 days time. Okay. So this is basically about Canada. I've covered almost all topics. If you have any questions, we can just come out now.
Any queries? I think there is no question. Ma'am, can we move on to next section, please?
Next section, in the sense like maybe you are looking for Australia or something. I'll just give a brief description because covering all the countries on one go would be like bombarding of information. You might get confused, so we'll not give you much details on it, but basic details, yes, we can speak. Okay, so Australia is again the third largest PR friendly and very favorite destination of international students. Compared to Canada, UK, Australia comes in the third place. Now, why would someone prefer to go to Australia? Is because again the possibility of getting PR is comparatively high, especially for programs like engineering, health, nursing, and then few of the community social work programs. So these are the programs where the PR possibility is very, very high. When it comes to business degrees, I'll not say that there is no PR possibility at all, but then the percentage of people getting PR when it comes to business program is comparatively less when you when you compare it with healthcare or when you compare it with any engineering degrees. Okay, now Australia again, when it comes to the stay back, they have like 3 categories. Okay, so if you go for major cities, the stay back would be 2 years. When you go for little bit regional areas, the stay back would be 3 years. When you go into rural areas, the stay back would be 4 years. Okay, any questions in this? So depending on which location your student is going to choose the program, the stay back keeps varying. Generally speaking, it is 2. Okay. Now, when it comes to program choices, again, it's very quite similar to Canada. The students can complete their class 12 and then they can go for either diploma programs or for bachelor's degree. Now, diploma programs will not fetch you a stay back of 2 years or 3 years. They have an option. It's generally called diploma to degree programs. So the student studies 2-year diploma and then the progression goes to the final year of degree. Okay, so once the student completes their degree, the possibility of the stay back is done. Otherwise, the stay back option is not possible. Okay, when it comes to diploma degrees, D to D, in the sense diploma to degree programs, the student will be getting stay back. For master's program and PG diploma programs, there is no such restrictions. The students will be getting their stay back option. Okay. When you look into the entry criteria, basically for UG diplomas, you will require somewhere between 55 to 65%. College to college, university to university, this keeps varying, but generally it is 55 to 65. And then an IELTS score or a PTE score of 50 in each. When it comes to PTE, when it comes to IELTS, it is 6 with 1 band 5.5, which is again accepted when it comes to UG degrees. If your student is going for nursing programs, they will require 60% in terms of GPA and an IELTS score of 7 with each band 7. Okay. Again, the same applies for master's degree as well. Percentage wise, it is 55 to 65 with PTE accepted 15 each band minimum. And then for nursing programs, 7 with 7. Okay, this is the IELTS score that I'm describing about. And then you can choose your programs. When it comes to flexible universities, you can note down, like we have Charles Stewart University, we have Central Queensland University. These are few universities which are flexible in terms of gap, in terms of backlogs, and in terms of the overall student profile as well. Otherwise, the top universities, they might be a little bit strict on your gaps and backlogs. Okay. Any questions up until now? Is this clear? Okay, fine. Now, when it basically that's it about Australian studies. There is like we have colleges, universities. There is no such description when it comes to Australia. It is all like universities. There are few vocational colleges, but those are places where your students might study, but they might not end up in getting their stay back. So whenever you refer a college or a university to your students, always remember to check if those colleges or universities have a CRICOS degree, CRICOS number. It's a license number where the university is permitted to recruit in international students. Okay. Now, when it comes to the overall process, Australia is a bit more difficult when you compare it with Canada. So they have an additional process called GTE. Now, GTE is Genuine Temporary Entrant. It is just to clarify that your student is not coming to Australia to misuse their study visa and look for PR option or the immigration possibilities. Before applying, the agent is supposed to take a GT interview, and once the conditional offer comes through, university would take a GT interview. This is the standard process, but these days certain universities might waive off their GT interview if they are sure that the agent has done the due diligence and there is no compliance issues and all. So in those cases, the second GT interview is waived off, but basically there is one GT interview, and the university also shares a list of forms which is called the Gte Assessment Forms. So the GT forms has to be filled along with a very strong SOP mentioning why the student is taking up this course, this university and Australia as such, and then reasons for returning back to home country. And in the SOP, the student is also supposed to discuss about any gaps, education gaps, work experience gaps, any previous visa refusals. Okay. So all these things are also discussed in the SOP when it comes to Australian SOP, but with Canada, these things are not discussed in the SOP. Okay, fine. Now, the process would be you put in the student application. Okay, once the student application is processed, the university might in between come up with Gte assessment form. Now the agent fills the Gte assessment form, takes a Gte interview if required. It might be a telephonic interview, it might be a Skype interview, or any other online platform interviews. Now along with the Gte assessment form, the student submits the SOP document, and then this is submitted back to the university. The university comes out with a conditional or an unconditional offer letter. Conditional offer letter in the sense Australia will always permit you to apply without the complete set of academic documents. Suppose if a student has just passed out their bachelor's, or they've just given their final year degree exams, they might end up getting a conditional offer. So that may be over a period of time, over 1 or 2 months, they have to submit their final documents, okay, final academic documents. There is also condition over IELTS. So if your student is like planning to take IELTS in the coming days, they can still apply and get an conditional offer letter. Now, once the conditional offer letter comes, and in the condition, if the university mentions that they need to take a Gte interview again, the student will go through a Gte process. And then if there are any other conditions mentioned, maybe academic or IELTS or the initial deposit, sometimes the university might ask for like 2,000 to 3,000 Australian dollars. So the initial deposit payment is done. The initial deposit is done, and then they get the unconditional offer letter. And once the unconditional offer letter is done, the university will ask for the financial documents. Okay, so just like the CAS document that UK students get, and before getting CAS, the students submit the financial documents. It's very similar. Once the student gets the unconditional offer letter, the financial documents are submitted. So financial documents in the sense, whatever initial deposit the student has paid minus the total 1 year fee. Okay, that is the fund they will have to show in the financial documents. For example, let's say if the total fee is 10,000 Australian dollars and the student paid 2,000 initially, the rest of 8,000 should be shown in the document, along with the living expense of 21,050 Australian dollars. This is the living expenses, 21,050. That is the amount. Okay, so they show the living expenses, and then there is something called Overseas Health Coverage, OSHC. So OSHC is nothing but the insurance based on the student's age. The OSHC, it would range between like 1,400 to 2,000 Australian dollars. So again, the financial documents should contain the fee, the balance of the fee, living expenses, the insurance amount, and then the travel expenses. Travel expenses would be somewhere between 2,000 Australian dollars. In the sense, the student has enough fund to pay for his tickets. That is the amount they're looking for. So with all these documents, they apply for COE, confirmation of enrollment. Once the COE comes in, the student can go ahead and file their visas. Normally, visas take around like 2 to 10 days of time. It's coming in 24 hours, but then to be on a safer side, let's say it's 2 days. 2 to 10 days of time, your visas will get through. When I said, the financial documents, the funding can be fresh funds. It can either be an education loan, a personal loan, a loan against property. Those are all the fresh funds. But if your student feels like they don't have fresh funds available, they can always show the funds sponsored by their family. When I say family, it is parents, siblings, grandparents of both father and mother. So these sponsors can these sponsors can show up to 100% of the required funds. It should be 90 days old. Fresh funds are like loans. There is no like duration in terms of the number of days the fund should be old. But when you show the sponsorship fund, it should be 90 days old, 3-month-old fund. If your student doesn't have a parent or a sibling or grandparents, they can show the funds of uncles and aunts, but 30% of the total fund requirement is only allowed. Okay, rest of the 70% should be by any other means. Clear? So this is basically about the Australian process. Any question in this? If you don't have any questions, maybe like that's all. That's all from me.
Any questions?
Funding parts of Australia. Funding is what I described just now. It is 1 year tuition fee. Okay, if your student has paid any initial amount, minus that, the rest of the 1 year tuition fee, 21,050. 21,050 is the living expenses. Insurance amount will come somewhere between 1,400 to 2,000 Australian dollars. That is again like insurance depends on the age of the student, so I will not be able to give you a fixed amount. So after insurance, it is the traveling ticket expenses, which is again like 2,000. Let's assume it as 2,500 Australian dollars. So somewhere between 2,000 to 2,500 Australian dollars in terms of traveling expenses. This is the fund that they have to show in their account for 90 days. But if your student is not showing any 90-day fund, but they have fresh funds in the sense any loans, education loan, personal loan, or loan against property. So if it is all these sort of funding, then that is good to go for COE. Clear? Any other questions? For COE, do they need to show the living expenses? Yes. Anything else?
Hi, ma'am. I'm currently pursuing my MTech masters in computational linguistics related to artificial intelligence, and I want to migrate to any of the European countries, like it be Canada, UK, or Australia. It doesn't matter. And I'm married and I have a kid, so I want to take them along too. So should I consider PR or any other diploma courses?
Since you're already doing your master's, do you have any work experience, Rizwana?
Yeah, I do have work experience, but that was training and I don't have a bank statement or pay slip or anything
That's
like
fine.
that.
How many years of work experience do you have?
2 years.
2 years as?
A project coordinator, but that was not the core. I got my BTech in computer science, and I
Okay.
worked as a project coordinator. One year in a software company and 1 year in a construction company.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, you can go for any PG diploma in project management rather than going for something into computer science because you already have a MTech degree. Don't go for anything into computer science. So what were the modules that you went through during your MTech?
The course is related to artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing.
Okay. So
So
in that case, you can also go for like cyber security PG programs. Go for either PG project management or cyber security programs, which is not very closely related to what you've studied in your MTech. Relevant.
data science, data visualization, data analytics, that are all
Go for
related to.
data related programs as well. If you feel like that would be too much for you, you can also go for business analytic programs.
Okay. So so to apply for the spouse visa and all, what are the formalities?
First, you get your offer letter, pay the fee, go for visa process. Once you are applying for your visa, you can apply for your spouse as well. Which country are you basically looking into?
It's actually, as I have already said, I don't have a typical preference. I just want to migrate to any of the countries.
Okay.
So Australia, I have a blood relative there, my first cousin.
Okay. Your first cousin is not your blood relative, but your extended relative.
Okay. Is that beneficial?
No, it is not.
Okay.
You can go for Canada in that case, because when it comes to Australia, when you say that you have your cousins there, you will not be able to hide that in identity. Like, you will not be able to hide that you have cousins there. But if it was your, do you have any of your siblings there, direct siblings? Like,
No.
you don't have any there. Okay, if you have your siblings or your parents in Australia, then that would definitely help you. But when it comes to cousins, or your uncle or your aunt, it might. How good are you in giving out interviews? Are you confident enough to face interviews, to face questions and stuff?
Yeah, with a little bit of training, I am confident.
In that case, you can try Australia as well. But if you
Okay.
feel like GT interview process and stuff should be a little bit above my head, you can always go for Canada, which is, the process is quite simple. Apply and then go for visas. You don't have any interviews at all.
Okay, but my MTech course is not over yet. It will be over in July or August, I guess.
Okay.
And I'm currently doing an internship in L&T Bangalore. So after the training process, I will be placed there. So after gaining experience there, can I apply for PR?
We are speaking about study visas right now. Applying for PR directly is a completely different route. Okay.
Okay.
It is same for Australia and for Canada as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Because I'm not the concerned person to speak about whatever it is, like provincial nominee programs or whatever express entry. I'm not the concerned person to speak about it. So anything regarding your study visas, you can definitely ask me.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other queries? Sangeeta madam, നമ്മുടെ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ഡയറക്റ്റ് റെപ്രസെന്റേറ്റീവ്സ് ആണ് for UK, Australia, Canada. So any questions regarding your studies or universities, you can ask right now. Otherwise, we will wind up this section and you can contact the Greenworld International for your future doubts and all. So ma'am, can we wind up the section?
Yeah, if there are no questions, let to go.
Okay, thank you for the webinar section. Thank you all. If you have any inquiries, please contact us. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Bye. Take care.